Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me for another episode of the Steam Shuffle. My name is Asher, and today we are looking at Aurion, Legacy of the Kori-Odan. I probably butchered that, but that's going to kind of be a commonplace throughout this entire video. There's a lot of difficult names, difficult to pronounce names and items and things like that throughout the entire game from what I've found. This is actually by a developer by the name of Kiro'o, I think. Kiro'o Games. They are a developer out of Cameroon, which is a country in Central Africa. It's the only developer that I believe has ever been out of there to my knowledge. And curiously enough, when I booted up the game, it actually defaulted to French. I had to figure out the French way of saying English is like Anglais or English or something like that. And I was like, all right, let's pick that one. And here we are. So I got past that part. But most of the things are actually said in French in like the opening segment of the game and things like that. So I found that really intriguing. I had no idea that there was a game developer in Cameroon, but this is pretty cool. And after I looked that up, it makes sense of where this game is coming from. It has a very deep setting in African mythos. And I've never came across a game that has done that before. So that's a really interesting setting. Before we jump into anything, let's go ahead and take a look at the... Oh, I just hit the wrong button. Let's try that again. Don't mind that. We're just going to go right back to where I was before. Hold on just a sec. Okay, there we go. We're going to take a look at the options menu. And not a whole lot, really, in terms of video. I mean, you've got your AA if you want to turn it on, VSync, and post-treatment, which I'm not 100% exactly what that would be. But it's there if you want to tinker with it. And separate audio sliders for all three of general music and sound effects. Love that. Gotta have your actual audio sliders. Good job there. Your controls, they do recommend a 360 pad. It even says it in the beginning. So I have not tried this on keyboard. I have only done it with controller. And you can change them a little bit. Pretty much anything you want, really. So that's actually not seen very often, rebindable controller inputs, so good on them there. And then you have your gameplay options, which you have three separate difficulties, type of left button press, and your default favorite either is going to be your Aurions, which is, we'll get into that, or your items. A lot of these options don't really make much sense until you've actually played the game and you know what they're going to influence. So we're going to jump in. I'm not too far in, about an hour and a half, but I figured I was at a pretty good point to give a fair assessment of what you're going to experience with Aurion. Aurion sounds better to me. That's what we're going to go with. All right. So the first thing you're going to notice is the art style. You just kind of see me over there in the corner jumping up and down. It has almost like a storybook feel to it to me. The 2D sprites almost like a Paper Mario-esque feel, and the animation quality of them it's decent. It definitely gets the job done. What I'm doing right now is trying to find somebody running around, but at first glance this looks just like an RPG, and you'd be right, it is an RPG. It is, however, not a turn-based RPG. It is an action RPG. We're going to jump into a fight here real quick and kind of show off the combat system before I kind of get into my opinion on some of the different systems, just to kind of display it so you know what I'm talking about. So I'll do my best here. Oh my god, I'm trapped. I'm going to do my best here to kind of point out some of the stuff on the screen while fighting and not dying. So obviously you have your health bars and your AP, which is your action points, we're going to call them, or maybe attack points, and then your stamina. Your stamina controls your dodges and your blocks. That's your block, that's your dodge. You can dodge into an attack immediately, like that, and I can kind of dash in and smash him with an elbow if I can nail it right. The reason I'm going after him is he controls the dogs down there, makes them more powerful, so I'm going to try to kill him first. The first thing that I really noticed is things take a lot of hits if you're using your basic attacks. I mean, you have to wail on these guys before they finally go down. This is really... It's kind of designed around using your special moves to inflict damage. That right there is just a Y special. It does use your attack points, and you can see my Y specials there is a direction on the stick and then just pressing the Y button. That little fireball, and then the big old punch is one that I just got. You can jump and attack in the air and almost unlimitedly combo these guys and just destroy them. You can lock them up in there. But I killed the dogs before I even killed the guy controlling him. So now we're going to work on him. But before I do, let's see if I can kind of jump up here. I just summoned my partner. She jumps out and she heals me. That is controlled by pressing a direction on the stick and a button input, in this case, left trigger. Yeah, I only have the one ability for her, but she heals you up, and she heals a lot. That little orb that pops up pretty much will full heal you every time. Top left corner, you see my different items. The colored arrows correspond to what it's going to increase when I use it, and you'll see that I have a lot of them. You use them quite a bit. You don't have to, but it does help immensely to do so, and since I have a surplus of them, I just constantly use the things. Haven't had really any frame rate problems. You might see a few right now because I'm recording, but other than that, I haven't had any. Save maybe like one time. It's ran a full 60 the entire time, so that's good. It feels smooth to move around. What I do have complaints with are the actual impact of the abilities. So when I'm hitting this guy, the only thing that I know that tells me that I'm hitting him are the numbers above his head. There's no impact. There's really not very many sound effects either when you're hitting him. It's just it doesn't feel good to hit them with the normal attack. Now, if I press my left button, I pull up the Aurion's menu, and if I press left on the D-pad, I enter Aura mode, we're going to call it. And Aura mode unlocks the 3 abilities that you see on the screen now. The bottom one being only available when I fill the meter, the bar, underneath my feet. Once I fully fill that, I'll be able to unleash that bigger attack. So I've got the 3, and I only have the 1 Aura mode at the moment, but I'm sure I'm going to get more. Now, see, the ability has a little bit more weight behind it, but it still feels kind of floaty, and this one for sure definitely does. It just kind of smacks them the same way a regular attack would. It's lacking impact is the best way I can put it. You know, when you hit someone in a fighting game, you feel that impact when you hit them. That's what this reminds me of, is a fighting game with the action RPG elements to it, because you don't have your button combos that you have to do like a Hadouken in Street Fighter, but it does have more of a Super Smash Brothers feel. And when you hit someone in Super Smash Brothers, you feel that you hit them, and you don't with 90% of the abilities in this one. So that's kind of disheartening, because thus far, to me, the combat is the most enjoyable part of this game by far. And an hour and a half, almost 2 hours into it, I have, up until now, I had maybe like 5 fights for almost 2 hours. And finally, I have found at least other enemies that I can run into and initiate combat. But before that, I was getting really, really irritated, because there was just, all it was dialogue and talking and a few cutscenes, and it was just so annoying because they're long dialogue sequences. We're talking back and forth 50, 60 times. They exchange a couple of blows. You fight 3 people, and then they start talking for 20 minutes again. It's like, come on, that's enough. The story is not difficult to follow in of itself, and I like the idea behind it. It feels kind of anime-esque to me, where you have your different Aurions who have special abilities and can unleash their auras. Their auras are the experiences of their ancestors and that they call upon to basically augment their combat abilities. How that works, I don't know. My ancestors probably were not able to shoot fireballs out of their hands, but apparently these guys were, so it makes them able to do that. So the story, it has a nice premise. It's just, it is so pushed into your face, and I'm found myself now skipping through things, because honestly, when I've got somebody talking to me for 5 minutes, if I'm not rushing through it, I just stop caring. I want to get back to the action. I want to start fighting again. I feel like maybe it could have blended the two a little bit better, or just kind of simplified a couple of the things. Another point that I brought up earlier was the names of things. The guy I'm playing's name is Enzo. I'm pretty sure he's been called 4 other things at this point. I know I'm the king of Zamba. I believe it's Zamba or Zamba. And his wife is the one that's healing me. I don't know her name. I don't remember it. But they have names for everything. Hashimi Kori-Odan. That's the name of the attack that I just did, which I think is honor of the Kori-Odan. Infinite Sweeper, things like that. Those I understand, but they have, maybe it's a cultural thing. Maybe it's difficult for me to understand because I don't know if it's of African descent or if it is in French, but it's the names of things, items, Tobor Bodiop. It's that kind of stuff throughout the whole thing. The names of enemies, the names of abilities, the name of people. It's so many different names that are difficult to pronounce and even more difficult for me to remember, to the point where I'm not caring as much because I have a hard time following them. I like the story premise itself, but man, I wish what I would do for a Bob or a Steve at this point. I did find one enemy. His name was Norbert. He had a weird last name, but his first name was Norbert, and I got down with that one. So unfortunately, he was kind of a rapist, but he had an easy to pronounce name. So he's got that going for him, I suppose. Send your hate mail to asher13ish@gmail.com. I don't care. But my up B move there when I am in my aura mode, that has the impact that I'm talking about. It's got the visual of me hitting them. You can feel it that it's smacking them. And the little spear thrust kind of does too, but it's just, I don't feel it impacting them at all. Another thing with this, kind of along the same idea, and it's kind of a minor nitpick, but when you talk to someone, you walk up to them and you hit X. In order for you to actually initiate that dialogue, you have to be like almost inside of them before it will register that you're close enough to press X. Again, a minor nitpick, but that I found that bugging me quite a bit. The music, however, it's quite varied actually. I've probably came across 5 or 6 tracks already, and it's all different from one another, but you can tell that it has a similar theme to it. It has the very beginning when I started, I swear I thought I was playing Lion King. Like, it sounded just like it'd be out of the Lion King movie. But it has a, I don't know a whole lot about African culture, but I would say it has what I would consider a traditional African sound to it, which is quite interesting, and it's actually fairly enjoyable, at least in my opinion. Let's take that guy down there. And the sprites themselves, they're really detailed. At least the main characters are. Some of the little straggler guys, not so much. And the camera is kind of backed out in this mode, so you can't really tell. But in the fight, they start getting down. Some of the cutscenes, the abilities that these guys start pulling off when they're fighting each other, almost feels like you're watching a Paper Mario anime, kind of, sort of. I do wish that I could do some of the things that they're doing when they're fighting. My guy is a serious badass, but when I'm controlling him, I know a couple of moves. Now, I will give it credit. Just a moment ago, right before I did a boss fight, my up and Y ability where I punched someone, I literally jumped off the cliff and did that exact move and punched him in the face. And now I can do that punch while I'm playing. So it seems like it's picking up, but this has a really slow start. Like, you're getting married, and it's your day before your marriage, and you're trying to find the village elder to get to get advice, which is really just backstory for the story itself. What we've entered here is actually what they call platform mode, and oh, that's cool. The little bulbs on there, when I find them, I open them. That's basically a treasure chest, but platform mode is just similar to combat mode, except you can jump up and down, and it's got the platform segment. There was a wall jumping segment that I encountered just a little bit ago. That was infuriating, and mainly because it uses stamina to do the wall jumps. If that stamina had not been on the wall jumps, I could probably deal with it, and the fact that it is really easy to heal, like incredibly easy to heal, it doesn't bother me too much that I was taking the damage. But jumping up that wall almost drove me nuts. Like, I almost stopped playing right there. I think that would need to be tweaked a little bit. Either take out the stamina requirement, or just the way you do it is once you jump on the wall, you can then either press X to jump across or Y to jump at an angle to jump up it, and they have these crags that you're trying to avoid when you're jumping back and forth between the two. It was just, I don't know if it's just me, but man, that part just, it took me 15-20 minutes to get past it. It really did. I was getting kind of upset. It was stupid, but again, little nitpick. That's the only part that I've found that's not really enjoyable. Other than, really, my biggest issue is the impact. You see that punch I just did? That punch has the feeling behind it. It's showing that I am knocking this guy for a loop. He flies across the screen. You feel it just boom. That has impact. When I'm regular attacking, I may as well be swinging at air. There's nothing to indicate that I'm actually hitting them other than numbers above their heads. And that move there, it has a little bit impact to it as well. Perhaps that will get better once I start unlocking better abilities. I don't think I unlock better basic combos, basic X combos. Let me charge up a little energy here. Go Kaioken there, which you can break the energy gauge. If you do so, you start doing more damage, but it drains your health. But little Miss Wifey here heals me up so quickly, it's really a non-issue. And she even comments on that multiple times. If you use it, I can heal you while you're doing it. In this copy, I don't know if in the retail that was just released today has been fixed a little bit, but in this copy, there are quite a bit of spelling mistakes. Not so much spelling mistakes, but spacing mistakes. And that was addressed by the developer when they resent me the code for this, that they're aware of it. And so I'm imagining those are going to get patched and made better. I don't think it's so much the spelling, though. I think it's more of translation errors. Some of the grammar and everything, some of the words that are used, it seems out of place. That also contributes to me trying to kind of skip through some of the story, because I'll be reading it and then it's just the way it's worded. It sounds, you can tell that English is not the native language. So once that gets translated a bit better, that would probably help out quite a bit in my pursuit of the story. But personally, right now, I'm just trying to get abilities and kill stuff. Like, the story is kind of taking a back seat. I like the backdrop of it, but it is really, really thrown in your face a lot, and it's starting to kind of get old. I hope it stops doing that a little bit, which it is right now. Now that I've gotten I am at 2 hours at this point. I'm into it. It's opening up. So I feel like this is a really slow burner. And if I give it maybe an hour, or hey, I just got my first weapon. Nice. If I give it another hour or two, then it will probably get quite a bit better. But, first impressions, I mean, I only spent a couple hours before I did the video, and sometimes I spend even less than that. That first impression is going to make people want to keep playing it or not. Actually, looks like I got a couple of pieces of equipment. So this one looks like it'll lower my fire resistance, but it increases everything else. So I'm going to throw that on. You have bracelets, legs, and blades as well. So there's quite a bit of equipment. That's going to increase earth resistance and increase strength. So yeah, I will throw that on for sure. Disappointingly, although understandably so, your model does not change based on the equipment you have. On a pre-rendered sprite like this, that would be nigh impossible unless they drew every single sprite to incorporate that piece of equipment every time that you got a new one. So I can get why that's not there. That's just more of a personal preference. I do like it when your appearance changes. It shows a sense of progression throughout the story, and you're getting stronger because the items look cooler and things like that. But again, 2D sprite animations obviously can't quite do that. There is a GPS system. I've used it once. I would say that it would be nice to have a mini map in maybe the top right hand corner there. There's a lot of wasted space there. That would be where I would put it, because that just opening up I've only got lost like once or twice, but it's not so much getting lost. It's the way that the backdrops are drawn. It's kind of hard for me to tell what is actually an entrance or an exit, because the way that they just kind of blend into one another. What's going on here? An Aurionic barrier. Must find the source and hear it. See, that is what I mean about maybe translation issues. Find a source and hear it. To me, see, that wasn't hearing something. That was shutting a switch off. I don't know, or I'm not exactly sure what that was supposed to mean. This looks like it's going to be a dialogue scene. Yep, I can tell because it kind of moves a little bit slower. Run too fast for me, wait for me. These two are, it's a pretty traditional, well, I wouldn't say traditional. I will say he's the king, she is her queen. I don't think they've been together for very long. They are building a dynamic. Aurion is her name, by the way, now that I see that. He's kind of not okay with himself and letting the kingdom fall and things like that, and she's just kind of along for the ride. They're trying to, but she's obviously weaker. Her armor, she just got. And Enzo's been training for a very long time. So I like that dynamic between the two of them. I'm hoping that I get another party member soon and see a little bit more character development, because that is, I will say, that is a strong point. Not all of them, but some of the characters in this, they are fairly fleshed out. They have their own personalities. They're not just plot devices. Even the gal who trained me, like, she has her own personality, and it was more of I had a debt to your father to make sure you became king. Now that you're king, I don't care anymore. These people are attacking your city. I'm out. She watches his back without him knowing, but I mean, she has that air to her. I would love to see this in an anime format. I think this would actually be a really cool show. It has like an Avatar vibe to it, to me. Instead of being influenced by Asian culture, it's influenced by African mythos, and it's very unique to that. I cannot think of another African mythos game off the top of my head at all. You know, it would also be cool, a God of War style with this mythos instead of Greek mythology. That would be amazing. Obviously, this is an indie dev, and this was their vision, but I just think a action-oriented 3D perspective game and with this backstory would be really cool. One of their men told us that we could pass if we paid him. Then we arrived here. It's just, the dialogue is very long-winded. We must take the teleportation Kalu. I don't know what a Kalu is. Maybe that's that type of bowl there. Again, that might be a translation thing on my part, but that's what I mean by items having weird names, people having weird names, tuba, things like that, and then an Ajanga came. I think I should know what an Ajanga is. I can't remember. There's Norbert again. I remember him. And that he needed to get rid of the goods. The goods don't tell me. They let loose the Traka on us. It was a massacre. I'm kind of trying to speed through this. I don't want to give away too much for those who are interested in the story. I do not understand this barbarity. First Norbert know this. There are no conjunctions in this. Conjectures, not conjunctions. There are no conjectures. Everything is I do not instead of I don't. I cannot instead of I can't, or anything like that. To fight among themselves. Appeared in a Kalu with a veiled woman and other Trakas and trainers. So, what is a Kalu? Are they teleporters? Onizita, our friend, was kidnapped. I don't know if that's a pet name that she's got for me, or if that's an actual character named Onizita. There are numerous, and their chief must be an Aurionic. Aurionics are what I am. They have that power that they can turn it and go all Kaioken Super Saiyan. So, I think some of the problems that I have with it are more personal preference, but objectively, the weight of the combat would be a con, except some of the moves are, and I think that will actually get better. And the story is difficult to follow, but again, that's a translation thing, and the devs are aware of that. So that might actually be fixed, although to rewrite almost every line of dialogue to make it more concise would take a lot of work. I don't know if it will be or not. But other than that, I mean, those are really the only cons I have with it. I want to keep playing it, but it's not the story that's making me want to keep playing it. It's the allure of getting other abilities. When I say the allure of getting other abilities, let me get out of this thing. Keep talking. Come on. I got it. You're going to go kill the guy. I got it. Okay. From what I can tell, this is your status screen. This is how many Aurions you can get. I have one. If this is correct, then every single one of these are going to have another one, and each one of those have the different B abilities. So I feel like there's going to be a lot of room of customization. It's just taking a while to get to that point. It says you can only have up to 3 abilities that you carry in with you with the Y abilities even, but I don't even have 3 of them yet. So it's going to get there. I have a feeling it's going to get there. You're going to get a sense of customization and playing your character the way you want, but I don't have enough abilities to do it yet. Like this right here. I have to be level 20 to unlock that one. I have to be level 30 to unlock that one. I mean, I want to use it. I want to play around with the different abilities. I just can't unlock them, and they're taking forever to get unlocked, and I have to kind of get through this really dialogue heavy story to figure out how to even get the stuff. So that's my impression thus far. I will probably keep playing it. Right now it is available on Steam for $20. I actually think they've got it on sale for 10% off for the launch. But again, this is Aurion Legacy of the Kori-Odan. If you like what you see, go support the developers. This is their first game, and give it a shot. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. It's not one of my favorites, but I am compelled to keep playing, and I have been playing for a few hours now. My name is Asher. If you guys would like more content of this nature, give me a like, comment, or subscribe. Until then, I'll see you next time. Take it easy.